do you know we're in a war in Iraq? We've been in this war. It kind of ended. Then we started it again. Then we went to Syria. We didn't get congressional authorization for that. Nobody talks about that. I talk about it, but nobody else does. And now in the city of Erbil, which is about 30 miles away basically from where all this crazy ISIS stuff is happening, something really, really bizarre is happening, and we've got a couple images. That looks like the White House, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like the White House in Beverly Hills.
Look at this. It does. That looks like a Beverly Hills.
It's a Persian White House.
They are literally building a replica of the White House. This is one of many, many giant villas that they're building. This is literally 30 miles from the worst of the war zone that's going on over there. But there's a lot of money happening.
Why are they doing that?
So money brings war. Throw a couple of the images back up real quick so I can give you some more info. So many of the villas are gated and walled, of course, and they're valued at over 600 grand. The replica of the White House is worth $16.5 million.
Is this to sell?
So they're going to sell this. They're calling it the Dream City, and it's got Dubai-based investors.
Okay, right.
Looks lovely.
It's so hideous. You know, if you pulled that and planted it in Beverly Hills, the community would rise up and it would be raised within a week.
Well, they would probably give you some better landscaping in Beverly Hills. But the reason I want to do this story is I just think this is kind of interesting. Like, we see all this horrific stuff happening there. There's no doubt that there's obviously awful stuff. Iraq basically isn't even a state anymore.
Right.
And yet somehow 30 miles from the epicenter of all this, there's
They're building
major money being.
It's a development.
So it's literally right. It's like an old age development.
I wonder how the schools are there. Are they good schools?
Yeah, I'm sure they have good private schools in the walled.
They're really upset about the subway that they're going to be putting underneath the.
Man.
Because then you bring in the people.
Bringing all the people from ISIS. You know?
Yeah. What do you make of something like this?
How many Dwayne Reeds are going to open there?
Somebody who builds a mansion 30 miles away from like the front lines of ISIS is probably not very concerned with ISIS, which I think is probably the most problematic thing about that.
Because they're in cahoots with ISIS?
I don't know. I mean, you got to wonder, like, will we be offended if someone blows this up, like, sort of as a display, an effigy? Also,
right.
I mean,
aren't they basically begging for that thing to be blown up?
It's like us playing them.
It's taunting. I think it's a bit of taunting.
Yeah.
Is it sort of like, look, we can do this as well, you know? Or maybe they're just really big fans of Jeff Goldblum and Independence Day.
They're doing they are making Independence Day.
This is actually a set piece.
I never saw Independence
the second
Day.
one.
You never saw Independence Day.
It looks so stupid to me.
Are you guys? When I saw this,
Sorry, guys.
It's pretty stupid.
Sorry, you're idiots.
Sorry, Jeff Goldblum.
It's pretty stupid.
Wow. I'm sorry.
You're so mean to him.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
On his way.
Even though
I
was
just laughed
surprised,
so loudly in my microphone. I'm so sorry to the person on this.
You've apologized like 8 times. We're only 2 segments in.
That's my hook.
That's your
my hook. I'm Cathy, the apologizing comic.
Does anything about Iraq or any of this stuff surprise you guys anymore? Like, you know what I mean? The war wrapped up, then it started again, then it crossed borders. Then nobody talked about ISIS. If you looked at a year ago now and you look at every CNN piece, nobody had ever even heard of ISIS. So does anything, so when you see a replica White House going up, even though I was surprised for 10 seconds, then I was like, at this point.
None of this shit surprises me. I mean, I know we're not talking about this today, it's not on the roster, but with those school kids killed in Pakistan, I mean, what kind of a mind decides that this is a viable action to take?
Yeah.
None of this shit surprises me, and it's horrifying. I know that building these homes is not horrifying in that same way, but it's as illogical.
No, but that's what I mean. So obviously there's no comparison to 140 kids being killed in Pakistan to this. But that's what I mean. Like, there's so much going on at once.
It's like I can't even wrap my brain around this.
Yeah, how do you try to wrap your brain around this stuff?
Like a lot of alcohol, generally speaking, you know? I mean, honestly, I think the best thing that you could ever do is to turn off the news and just not pay attention for a while. Because if you do, I think probably like we are, news junkies, you know, if you're in it all the time, it is just constant depression.
But why is it, I know, but I understand that, but why is it better to not know?
I don't know that it's necessarily better to not know from a humanitarian standpoint, but just from a personal mental stability standpoint.
To save yourself.
Well, if you want the answer to Andy's point, I did a very deep philosophical piece on this that we just recorded yesterday with Kelly Carlin about how you deal with the news and how it affects your spirit and how much you should put into it. So we'll annotate to that, and you can check that out. And let's move on.